Hello, everybody. My name is Mason Folz. I'm here today with the Winners and Whiners 2003 NFL show. We are entering week 9 as the regular season is just a little bit over halfway done. I can't believe it. It's been a great start to the year. We've been killing it on this show, and we're definitely looking to do that again today. Now, week 8, it was crazy. Lots and ups and downs. We definitely had some upsets, but we're looking at today's slate. We're ready to dive in as these cappers are on fire. They've been killing it as of late, and they're definitely ready to bring you some more free picks today. So to start it out, I wanted to introduce to you guys to my amazing panel. First off, down there, my co-host, Scott the Steamroller Steehn. Scott, how you doing, sir?
It's Halloween, Mason. Living the dream, buddy.
It is
I know people won't see this till after Halloween, but as we record, it's Halloween day is Halloween Eve day, so yeah, I'm excited.
I agree. Yeah, a little spooky around here in my parts. I'm guessing the same for you guys. It's Halloween. We did want to remind you guys that we are recording this show on Tuesday. You guys will be seeing it on Thursday. So if any injuries or big news happens, make sure to keep yourself up to date on that. And then
somebody hurts themselves in a pumpkin carving accident or something, you're going to want to know about that. So
that's a very good point. No Jason Pierre-Paul fingers cut off. No.
Yeah. Is it all holidays with him, or is it just 4th of July? Should we keep an eye on JPP just to make sure?
I think we're going to have to, honestly. He's been a little bit of a liability, to say the least, on holidays. But hopefully there's no news there. Our next guest, one of my favorites, Mr. Tom Macrina. Reichel, how you doing, sir, in Philly?
I'm wonderful. Unfortunately, the Phillies were not, but I am. Eagles are looking good. I'm ready to go for this not great card, but we're gonna get you some winners.
Sweet. I'm excited as well. The man next to you, Mr. Scott Reichel. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Looking forward to the game here in week 9. A lot of low totals, but I feel like that's expected. You see a lot of rules and everybody complaining about how all the rules benefit the offenses and nobody can score. So, I'll let you figure that out. But not a lot of pretty NFL football this season, and the total suggests we're going to see the same story here.
Yep, I'd have to agree. And a man, one of our favorites, down in the bottom left corner, the king of parlays. He's been on fire as late. Chris King, how you doing, sir?
Can't complain, Mason. It's another day in the neighborhood. Like Scott said, there's been a lot of low-scoring games, and he would know. He got to watch the Jets-Giants game in his backyard.
I don't know how they won, but they won. So there you go.
Well, that just goes back to the officiating being warped because I didn't see an official touch the ball before Wilson spiked it.
That game was worse than I thought it was going to be, and that's saying something because I thought it was going to be terrible.
It was so bad, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
To quote Steehn, it's a pretty low bar.
It's like a game of Army-Navy football, which we're going to get this weekend. It was so ugly, it was beautiful. First team to 13 wins. That's how we're looking.
Navy Charlotte. Remember that game was 0-0 at the half earlier this year.
25 punts total?
Yes.
I think both teams started the game, what were they, 0 for 18 on third down in the first half?
Yeah.
Well, there was 15 punts. There was 15 punts in the first half.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I think
neither team really had it going in that one. We definitely saw that trend continue throughout the league as we saw a lot of low-scoring games like these guys were saying. But luckily, week 8 is in the books. Now we're moving forward. We're going to start diving into week 9. But before we do that, I wanted to remind all of you guys to please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can come back and check out all of our free picks. We also have every link down to our social media in the description. I'm pulling it on TikTok, Discord, and Twitter. So head over there, give us a follow, and we'll make sure to get you some more free content. Now this week, in week 9, we're going to be looking at the Thursday night football game first. We've got a doozy as the Tennessee Titans are going to be traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Steelers are a 2.5-point favorite, and the total is set at 36.5. Rye, who you like in this one?
All right. So the Titans just broke a 2-game losing streak. They started Will Levis. He looked good, tying an NFL record with 4 touchdowns in his first NFL start. The Titans did score in every quarter. They had a season-high 6 sacks. So this team is on a high after a near-perfect game. Now they travel to Pittsburgh on a short week. Steelers are coming off a loss to Jacksonville. Pittsburgh has their own offensive problems. I think I heard today that Pickett said he is going to play. I don't know that it matters really. Pittsburgh's offense averages 271.7 yards average, ranks 31st in league. I don't really care who the QB is. This Pittsburgh defense is one of the best. They blitz, they pressure the quarterback. They have 22 sacks, 15 takeaways. This is not the place you want to play your first road game. Heinz Field will be loud, or whatever they call it now.
Acrisure Stadium.
What is it?
Acrisure Stadium.
Yeah, we'll go with Heinz Field.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, the crowd will be loud. It's going to drown out the plays, which will be tough for Levis. Chris Hubbard may be out. He is in concussion protocol, so that'll hurt the offensive line. Steelers have won the last 4 against Tennessee, covered the last 3. Tomlin will have his team ready to play, especially after bad losses. He's 17-5 in home games after a loss by 10 or more points. So I like Pittsburgh here. I think they covered a number.
Like that. Reichel, how about you?
Yeah, it feels like a good Pittsburgh spot. Short week, get a bounce back in Heinz Field or whatever it's called now. I still don't think Pittsburgh's any good. It's the same issue every year. They can't move the ball. Somehow Matt Canada gets promoted for incompetence. I don't know how he got promoted because the offense is terrible every year. Is Levis good? We don't know yet. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It really comes down to Levis. Like, if it was Tannehill starting, you'd be like, oh, yeah, Pittsburgh's going to win this game. Probably a pick 6 involved, and we'll see what happens. If Levis makes 2 really good throws to Hopkins, maybe for touchdowns, do they just win? Like, I'm not sure Pittsburgh can score, and Pickett is injured. He's going to try to play through it. He's not any good anyway, but with bad ribs, he's going to look especially worse. I like the under. It's at 36.5. It's disgusting, but I think first team to 17 wins in this spot. But you know what? Maybe I'll take a bit of a stand here. I'm going to lean to Tennessee. Levis kind of showed me something last week. And Atlanta might be really bad with Ritter at offense, but defensively, not a bad unit. And you saw Levis kind of carve him up. Give me Levis. Give me the guy that slid into the second round. Maybe it's just a spot where I'm tired of seeing Pittsburgh play ugly football, and they keep finding ways to win. If Tennessee controls the turnovers, they should win this game because Pittsburgh might not score 14 points. So I'll lean to the Titans, but my favorite play is the under. I see an ugly game.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I'm on board with what Reichel said. This is going to be a low-scoring game where I don't know. I'll even go lower than 17. I don't know if either of these teams get to 16. Neither team looks all like.
What is this? Price is Right? You're going to undercut me? Come on.
Well, I don't want to say 14 because then Tennessee might kick 3 field goals to get to 16. But you're looking here, and the Steelers are not good on either side of the ball. 30th in offense, 30th in defense. They can't stop the run. They're 27th against the run this season. They give up 4.5 yards to carry. That's 27th in the league. Whether Levis throws for 4 touchdowns or not, they've still got Derrick Henry. They have Tyjae Spears, who's looked pretty good this year as well. And like Reichel said, the Steelers can't score. We saw Deontay Johnson saying this week after the game that the refs gave the game to Jacksonville. No, you guys gave the game to Jacksonville by scoring 10 points. Let's face it, Pittsburgh's not very good. I think I saw the Steelers haven't put up 400 yards in a game the entire time that Canada's been the offensive coordinator. It's the second longest streak in NFL history. That trend continues. I think whether it's Pickett or Mitch Trubisky, you're going to see Jeffrey Simmons and Tierre Tart and Denico Autry mess up the line of scrimmage and make things difficult. I'll take Tennessee with the points, but my favorite play is the under as well.
I forgot to ask, by the way, is Minka playing? Because I know he got injured last week. It didn't look good. He's not playing. So I want to mention that too, because Minka being out's a big deal for the defense.
Scott Steehn, how you feeling on this one?
Yeah, I want to be on the under here too. This is we talk about this every week. It seems like this is an amazing feat that Pittsburgh is over 500 with an offense that can't run the ball, can't really throw the ball, and a defense that can't stop the run or the pass. They've been living off turnovers. They're +7 in turnover margin, and they've been able to get those at crucial times. Not having Fitzpatrick is definitely going to hurt that. I'm probably leaning Tennessee, but again, my favorite player here is with you guys. I'm on the under 36.5. That number doesn't scare me in the slightest.
Now our next one, we're heading over to Germany as we have a possible game of the year. Early in the morning, everyone's going to have to wake up as the Dolphins will be playing the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're a 2.5-point favorite, and this total is actually set at 50.5. Rye, who are you liking in this one?
Yeah, so this total is the highest of the Week 9 slate. Travel is a concern a little bit for me, but these are both well-coached teams. We have two great offenses. Chiefs' offense did not look good, but that's why I fade teams traveling abroad the following week. I think they'll look better this week. Miami's defense does not look good against good opponents. The Chargers lit them up. Bills lit them up. Eagles lit them up. I think the Chiefs should be able to move the ball on this team. Chiefs defense, on the other hand, started off strong. They haven't looked great as of late. Last time these teams faced off, Kansas City won 33-27. I'm taking the over.
Reichel?
Yeah, I like the over as well. You're looking at both teams offensively. We know that Mahomes and Tua have been very solid this season. Kansas City really doesn't have any good weapons besides Kelsey, but they keep finding ways. Not last week, but I do think when you're looking at an elite team who basically no-show a game, you're looking for them to probably bounce back. I think Miami's alive to win it, but I don't know how many times I can assume they're going to just show up against good teams and they don't do it before I realize they're front runners. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I just think that they're more well-equipped to handle tough situations, and Miami, until they beat a team that's like elite or even above 500, I'm going to pump the brakes on expecting them to do much. I think offensively they'll be fine, but I am going to lean to the Chiefs to win a shootout in what should be a nice bounce-back spot for Kansas City. Give me the over, and I'll lean to Kansas City.
Chris?
Let me start by throwing out a stat that everybody loves to talk about, and that's the fact that the last time that Tua Tagovailoa beat a team with a winning record was Week 3 of last season. It's been over 400. Zach Wilson has beaten more teams above 500 in that stretch than Tua. I don't care how good Miami is offensively. They're turnover prone. We've watched them turn the ball over a dozen times. They're -4 in that department. I know Kansas City's -4 as well. But it comes down to the fact that until we see Miami actually beat a good team, and God knows when that's going to be, because like Reichel said, they're front runners. You look at the teams they've beaten this season. They beat the Chargers, who got win number? What they get 3 now by beating the Bears the other day?
500. Yeah.
Right. They've beat New England twice. They beat Denver. They beat the Giants. They beat Carolina, who just got win number 1. And the two teams that they played that had winning records, they gave up 79 points. Vic Fangio, I don't care if Jalen Ramsey's on the field or not. They're still not very good, and Mahomes finds ways to beat teams, despite, like Scott said, only having Travis Kelce and a bunch of guys that are. I'll give Rashee Rice credit; he's on the upswing, but he's not an elite receiver at this point in his career. But I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think that they'll find a way to get this one done because Miami wilts against good offenses.
I'm still annoyed the Chiefs didn't try to trade for a receiver today.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I think it came down to money.
I get it. You see Washington blowing up the entire team with the defensive line. You figure maybe make a call for McLaurin or somebody, and you see what's up. I don't know.
Yeah, but what's McLaurin's contract?
Well, I get it. I know money might be tighter in general, but I just don't know how you watch Sky Moore try to play receiver and say, we got to have him on the field for about 80% of the snaps. They just don't have any weapons. I don't think Scantling's any good either. Hartman hasn't been good. It's just, I don't know. It feels like the Chiefs, they might find a way anyway, but they really could have used another receiver.
Well, let's ask a man that knows more about the Chiefs than any of us here. Steamroller, how you feeling this week against the Dolphins?
Yeah, you're on mute, so.
Hold on. You might
That's
be
me.
muted.
Yeah.
There he is.
I've seen every game, every play that these teams played this year, and there is something wrong with this offense. There's no question about it. It's not just a lack of receivers. It's a lack of a running game as well. They really they just basically pay lip service to the running game. The only time they've run for over 100 yards this season has been against the Jets.
What about the random gadget plays on short yardage situations in the goal line for no reason?
It's so annoying. So annoying. You just give the ball to fucking 10 3 times and let's see what happens. As a Chiefs fan, it is definitely frustrating to watch this team in short yardage situations. And I get it. I said at the time 3 years ago when Mahomes hurt his knee on that quarterback sneak that the Chiefs would never run another quarterback sneak with Mahomes. And they haven't. It's Blake Bell in there or, some other kind of shit that they try to run. I don't like this team right now. I just don't think they're playing well. Mahomes Did have a pretty bad case of the flu. If you watch that game, his energy was definitely down. But, you know, he played probably good enough to win. You can't turn the ball over 5 times. There's no path to victory when you turn the ball over 5 times. I don't care if you do it against the Broncos or the Giants or name another shitty team. You're just not going to beat them. Miami is susceptible to the run. They'll give up some yards on the ground. Defenses play pretty well through the air. They do have a pretty ferocious pass rush. And that was something that definitely got a hold of Mahomes this last game. I don't know. He usually has that vision. He's usually able to roll one way or the other, anticipate the pressure, and he just found himself camping in the middle of the pocket too many times when it collapsed on him. Hopefully that'll be better. I just don't believe in this team right now. I don't think they have the wherewithal to outscore Miami. I think the defense showed some chinks last week. I'm hoping we can get that tightened up, but it didn't look good. They couldn't get big stops against Denver when they needed to. First time all season they've given up more than 20 points. I think it's going to be twice in a row. I've got Miami here straight up. I'll take the money line.
I like it. Fading his own team. That's where I've been there. I've definitely been there, Steen. I feel you. But I don't know.
Where's the bragging
we were
rights?
talking about it earlier in the week, but
You ended a streak, Mason. Come on, you got to gloat a little bit.
no, you can't gloat when you're 1-16. There's nothing.
It was
to, like,
16.
Really...
Come on, you ended the streak. Come on.
That was
it's like your one opportunity to be proud of your team.
If you don't think you can gloat when you're 1-16, you weren't around. Well, obviously you weren't around, but back in the early 80s. I'm just saying. Back in the early 80s, Miami swept the Bills throughout the 70s, and when Buffalo beat them in, I think it was 1980 or 81, they tore down the goalposts.
This might be the proudest moment that your franchise has had since winning the Super Bowl. Like, you have a chance here.
Definitely up there, but it's still the text I got on Sunday that made me laugh harder than anything. My cousin texted me and goes, "Nobody beats us 17 times in a row," and that's where I was just like, "Yeah, that's as a Broncos fan, I think we just got to pump the brakes and wait until they play another game." Because
I texted you in the middle of the first quarter, said the streak ends today.
You did. I was at the game. I had my gloves on. I was freezing my tail off, and I honestly didn't look at my phone once.
I don't blame you.
So that was that.
Wait, you were freezing? Come on, it was like 15 degrees.
It was chilly. It was chilly, I will say. But the Chiefs, like I was saying to Steen earlier, Mahomes, he was super sick last week. Now he's hopefully getting healthy. I believe the Chiefs are going to bounce back. I think that Andy Reid and Mahomes are kind of like Belichick and Brady back a few years ago. They're that ultimate duo that when they have to start stringing things together, they're going to find ways to do it. I get they don't have weapons, and I get that they turned the ball 5 times, turned the ball over 5 times, but I see Mahomes and Kelsey just consistently connecting in this game and kind of carrying the Chiefs to a victory. So I'm going to take them -2.5 in Germany.
One thing I will say is if Kansas City wins, you'll see everybody on Miami Twitter saying that the refs gave them the game because that's what they do every time they lose.
That is a good point. These next 2 teams, they're going through it a little bit. We've got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, who are a 4.5-point favorite. This total set at a whopping 37.5. Kirk Cousins, he did suffer that torn Achilles injury. He will not be playing. But the Vikings did just trade for a mind-blowing trade, in my opinion. They just traded for Joshua Dobbs from the Cardinals. I expect to see him a little bit. They also have the BYU rookie Hall playing. So it'll be interesting to see. Rye, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, so I think Hall gives them a little bit of mobile to the quarterback. I don't think that matters. They're traveling to Atlanta for their second straight road game. It's their third game in 2 weeks. They had a Monday Night Football game in week 7. It's their third road game in 4 outings. As we just talked about, the QB situation is weird. So their whole offense is going to have to change here. But again, neither QB has much experience. Minnesota doesn't have a run game. On the other side, we saw Ritter go down. I'm expecting Heineke to play. They are first in the division, so you have to go with a better player.
Can you say that again? Who's first in the division?
Is in Atlanta?
No, that's the point. That's a really bad division. That's a really, really bad division.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the Vikings have been finding their identity, but now that Cousins is down, I don't know. So I think the Falcons are going to be able to move the ball, chew the clock. I think the Vikings offense will struggle. I'll take the Falcons, even though I don't like it.
Reichel?
Yeah, I think I'll take the first place Atlanta Falcons in this spot. Heineke revenge game. Come on, guys. No, but I am looking at Heineke.
They are playing the second place Vikings. I mean, it's not like we're talking about a doormat here.
Oh, yeah, true. That's definitely true. Shout out to Green Bay and Chicago for being terrible. But I do think looking at the spot, I'll give Minnesota props because Jefferson got hurt. Team looked like he was screwed, and they ended up beating the Niners. They won a couple games. Props to them. Like, they were on pace to be a playoff team, then Cousins got hurt. Hall, I watched at BYU. He was fine. Does that mean anything? Not really, because Zach Wilson looked good at BYU, and he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. It really doesn't mean anything. But I think when you're looking at this spot, at least Atlanta's healthy. Like, this team has some talent. The issue was the quarterback play. I think Heineke looked pretty good last week. He didn't really do much. They lost the game because the defense fell apart, and Will Levis just kept finding DeAndre Hopkins wide open 30 yards downfield. But I think looking at this overall team, Atlanta doesn't bother me. Bijan finally got a carry in the red zone. Congratulations, he scored a touchdown. But I think I'm going to go with Atlanta here. Minnesota is going to have to reinvent the entire offense. They traded for Dobbs. Is he going to play this week? Probably not. I mean, he's going to join the team midweek. He's going to know none of the playbook. They're going to have to try to catch him up to speed. Maybe an emergency package if Hall's really, really bad. But the point is, it's going to be Hall's first start. They told him in that Packers game, don't do anything stupid. And he still got strip sacked at some point during that game. So we're going to see what happens with Hall. I'm going to trust Heineke. He's a veteran. I think he's probably better than Ritter, to be honest with you. I think Ritter's atrocious. So give me the Falcons. They're at home. I think they'll bounce back. I'll take the Falcons -4.5.
Chris King, who do you like in this one?
I think you have to go with Atlanta just because, like Scott said, you don't know what to expect from Hall making his first start. You know, Atlanta did take a blow losing Grady Jarrett for the season with a knee injury that he suffered on Sunday. But, you know, it's not a ringing indictment or a ringing endorsement of Ritter when you ask Art Smith if he's healthy, will he start this week? And you go, we have to see where he's at. And that's the best answer I can give you.
Well, Ritter got cleared, right? Didn't he get tested?
Yeah, he was cleared. He was cleared in the game.
Decided not to use him anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've watched the Vikings can't run the ball. I don't care if it's Akers or Madison, who's been a major disappointment, or Ty Chandler, or, you know, they could put Chuck Foreman back there. He'd probably be a better running back than any of these guys now. Jordan Addison's played well, but other than that,
didn't he get banged up too last week?
Yeah, a little bit. So that's why KJ Osborne had a big game.
Yeah.
But since you don't know what you're going to get out of Hall, like Scott said, he's a BYU quarterback, and everybody since, you know, Steve Young and Jim McMahon has been mediocre in the NFL coming out of there. I'm going to take Atlanta. I think they'll run the ball down Minnesota's throat, keep the clock running, and make this a low-scoring game. But I'll take the Falcons and give the points, especially if Heineke plays.
Dean?
Yeah, I've got to go with the Falcons here too. The one thing I'm looking at is Drake London's groin injury. He's currently questionable here on Tuesday, so I don't think I'm going to be in any hurry to jump on this number. I don't think this number is going to get any worse for Falcons backers. And we could pick up a point. I doubt if it'll cross through 3, but we might be able to get it at 4 or 3.5 if London is out for this game. This is a Minnesota team that's going to be one-dimensional, and that's going to be running the football. And as somebody mentioned, they're not very good at it, and they're going up against a Atlanta rush defense that's 8th in the league in yards per attempt. And I just don't see a path to points here for the Vikings. Defense has been playing okay. I think they'll, do enough to slow the Falcons down, but I just don't think the offense is going to be able to hold up there. And don't hate the under 37.5, but like the rest of the crew, I'm on the home team Falcons here -4.5.
Yep, if I was going to pick a side, I'd definitely have to lean with the Falcons as well, just with the quarterback issues with the Vikings. But my favorite play in this one, as Steehn just said, I like the under as 37.5. It's a very low number, but I don't see the Vikings scoring more than 10 points. They're going to struggle to move the ball, and I don't think they're going to be able to consistently run the ball against this Falcons defense. They'll be able to load the box and make it tough for them. And I know Heineke, if he does play, it could be a revenge game. Maybe he'll do something crazy. I still think it's Taylor Heineke. We got to remember that he was a backup for a reason, and I don't love this Falcons team either. They've been up and down this year, and I just don't like their offense as much. Without Ritter, I like him a little bit more, but again, it's just Heineke, so I'm not falling in love with the pick. So instead of the 4.5, I'm going to take the under 37.5. In that game,
who knows if Van Jefferson would have caught that fourth down pass, maybe Heineke leads him down the field to win the game.
Once again, I'm not saying Heineke's good, but I think he's definitely better than unproven Jaron Hall. That's kind of my point.
I agree with that. Next game, the old Seattle Seahawks will travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens are 5.5-point favorites, and this total is set at 43.5. Rye, who you liking in this one?
Yeah, so this one will be on my TV. Both of these teams lead their division. They're on a win streak. Ravens play excellent defense. They run the ball well. Seattle's offense is streaky. I think it helps that they get the extra hour. They have played well on the East Coast. But I think it helps the defense more. Hawks' defense has been great. They've had some success defending Lamar in the past. Both teams have been racking up points of the late, but I think defense is a star here. Ravens trend to the under as favorites and at home. I expect a close, grinded out game with a late field goal to win. I'm taking the under.
Reichel?
Yeah, I agree with the under. I think I am going to lean to Baltimore, though. Every time I watch Seattle, I'm not impressed, but they find ways to win games. And it's mostly Geno Smith. I know that's been a good story that he was able to revive his career. He has some of the worst turnovers in the entire league. Like, it is, his red zone execution is so bad in a lot of these games, and I feel like that comes back to bite them a lot. They got away with it because they were against PJ Walker last week, and they had that, I don't even know, Jamal Adams headbutt interception, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't know. They were 4 yards away from losing to PJ Walker. Like, I don't think Geno Smith is that good compared to the rest of the league and the Heinekes and the Jaron and the Halls now. Like, he's okay, but they paid him money after last year, and he's definitely regressed. I don't think he's looked very good. Now, the Ravens have been solid. They were killing Arizona. Then the game got interesting because they kind of took their foot off the gas, but they won by 7. Baltimore at home has been good. They're a good overall team. I think it's pretty telling that both teams are solid, first place, and Baltimore's laying more than 5 points. It's pretty telling to me. I'll take the Ravens. I think Geno has a bunch of interceptions in this game, and I think the turnovers are going to kill him. So I'll go with Baltimore and the under.
King?
Yeah, Baltimore won by 7, didn't cover because Nelson Aguilar shouldn't be on the field for onside kicks.
They were up, 17 with like 3 minutes to go?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was 31-15, and then they gave the touchdown. Dobbs tried to go for a 2-point conversion by throwing the ball at the
Sorry, they were up
line.
16 with like 3 minutes to go. Okay.
Yeah, but Aguilar shouldn't have been on the field.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll learn from that. The one thing about Baltimore is, they like to run the ball, and they're facing a Seattle team that's actually pretty good at defending the run. Seahawks 8th in the league overall in rushing yards allowed. They're 3rd in yards per attempt at 3.6. So might force Lamar Jackson to actually, throw the ball, which might help OBJ so he won't complain about not catching any passes like he did last week.
He can't create any separation anyway, so it doesn't matter.
True. But it doesn't mean he's not going to complain about it. I'm still not 100% sold on Baltimore at home. I know that we talked about this 2 weeks ago when Detroit was there, and we all backed Detroit, and then Detroit got waxed. I'm going to lean towards Seattle here and take the points just because I think it's going to be a close enough game where the Seahawks can cover the line. I think they'll play tough. They'll make Jackson try to beat him with his arm. And we've seen Lamar stumble at home at times. We saw it multiple times last season. We saw it against the Colts back in Week 3. I'll take Seattle.
Steehn?
I'm just not sure what to make of this Seattle defense. I think this is going to come down to who can run the ball effectively. And Seattle has the better numbers. When you look at their yards per attempt, they're very good. Like Chris said, they're 7th in the league. But, man, they have made hay against a couple of teams that just don't run the football. Against the Rams, against the Carolina Panthers, and against the Cincinnati Bengals. They gave up virtually nothing. But they've the teams that are committed to running the football, Cleveland ran for 155 last week. Arizona ran for 127 and 5.1 the week before. I think there's a chance that Seattle will be able to run the football, or that the Seattle defense will wilt a little bit here when trying to defend the run of the Baltimore Ravens. I think this Baltimore team is playing pretty good right now. They're on a nice 3-game winning streak, and they put up 93 points in their last 3 games. Yeah, I think they're going to be too much offense for the Seattle Seahawks. They have played some teams that have definitely been offensively limited. and I think this is going to be a kind of a cold slap in the face to them. I'll take the Ravens to cover that number at home.
Yep, I'll be taking the Ravens -5.5 as well. I think they're trending in the correct direction. Like Steehn just said, they've won 3 straight. They're moving the ball well, and that defense, I believe they can step up when they have to. That game against the Lions really impressed me. They dominated at home, and I wouldn't be surprised if they came in and kind of put their foot down again in this one. I think Lamar Jackson's continuing to trend in the correct direction, and if they can find a way to run the ball, I know Gus Edwards was a big contributor last week. We'll see if he can do it again this week, but if they can establish just a little bit of a run game, I think they're going to move the ball consistently against the Seattle defense, score enough points to cover the spread. Now, our next game, we're going to look at the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Cleveland's an 8-point favorite, and this total is set at 37.5. Rye, who you like in this one?
Yeah, this is an ugly one. I was wondering why Dobbs wasn't starting. We found out today. So the Cardinals aren't winning, but they are keeping games close. They backdoor covered last week against the Ravens. Browns blew a late game lead against Seattle. Browns QB situation is about as good as the Cardinals. We don't know if it's going to be Walker or Watson. I don't know. Cardinals don't cover on the road, but Browns don't blow out teams. I think this number is too big, so I'm going to go with Arizona to cover here.
Reichel?
Yeah, I have no idea who's starting for Arizona in this game because it's either going to be Clayton Tune or it's going to be Kyler. If Kyler's back, I'm assuming Tune. I don't really know, but I'm going to guess Tune for this one. I watch him at Houston. A lot of late game heroics. I don't think he's very good, simply put, but I don't think Cleveland's that good. I think Cleveland's a very overrated football team because people were talking about how good the defense was and how the defensive numbers were insane for the first 2 months. Gardner Minshew torched them. They should have lost that game. I thought the refs helped out with Cleveland winning. Then they were not very good in the first half last week against Geno, and then the second half turned ugly, and they ended up losing the game. I think P.J. Walker stinks. I'm not afraid to say that. I think he's a bad quarterback, and I think that if you want to lay 8 points with a bad quarterback, it's a dangerous proposition. Is Arizona good? No, but they are very good in the first half. They are a team that I don't want to say is actively tanking post-halftime, but the point differentials in the first half and the second half are alarming. It does feel like they're kind of punting some games in the second half. I'm going to lean to Arizona. Simply put, I'm not laying 8 points with P.J. Walker. I can't do it. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals, and I'll lean to the under.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take Arizona with the points. You look, and Cleveland has turned the ball over multiple times in 6 of their 7 games this season. They're a -7 in takeaway, giveaway. They've committed 17 turnovers, the most in the league this season. And, it's not going to get any better because you don't have Chubb. Ford's been banged up. Kareem Hunt's, basically there because they don't have anybody else. The receivers aren't great. And they don't have a quarterback.
They also traded Peoples-Jones. Barely played anyway, but he's not on the team anymore.
Right, they just dealt him to Detroit. So he'll probably slot in for Marvin Jones over there. You look at this Arizona team, like Scott said, it could be Clayton Tune. Doesn't really matter. They're going to run the ball repeatedly because that's been their new style of offense with DeMercado taking over as the lead back with Connor on injured reserve. Until I see something from Cleveland's offense, it doesn't matter how good their defense is. I'll take the points and the Cardinals.
If you want a hot take, if Kyler plays, I think Arizona could actually win outright. If you want a hot take.
He's still on the PUP list, yes?
Well, he's been practicing. I think it was a full practice. So we're going to see what happens, but I know he might be a bit rusty, but I actually think Arizona's a bit live in this game if Kyler plays.
Yeah, his window to be activated expires next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Steehn, how you feeling about this game?
Like I'm glad I don't have to watch it. That's how I'm feeling. It is. I'm not sure the Browns are 8 points better than anybody. If they are, it could be the Cardinals. But I'm going to take the road team here. Just a little bit. This is a Cleveland team that's been a little bit susceptible to the rush, and I know that the Arizona rush game it did okay after Connor went out. They put up 256 yards in their last 2 weeks of rushing without James Conner, averaged 4 yards per carry and 5.1 yards per carry against Seattle. I think that's going to be enough to shorten this game. and limit the opportunities for the Browns. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Browns get the win, but I think the Arizona Cardinals come in, maybe sneak in there, get a little coming in through the back door, a little back door cover.
Yep, I agree with all four of you as well. I'm going to be taking the Cardinals +8. I just don't think the Browns are that good. And like all of you said, PJ Walker starting at quarterback, I don't know how they're an 8-point favorite. I also look at this total here, and it's at 37.5, super low. So I think it's going to be a pretty ugly game. I don't think either offense is going to go crazy, but I just don't think it's going to be that good of a game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be boring. And I think the spread's going to be too big. So I'm going to take the Cardinals +8 as well. In our next game, we're going to be looking at the Rams versus the Packers. Green Bay, they're a 3-point favorite after falling to the Vikings this last week. This total set at 39.5. Rye, who you like in this one?
Yeah, so it looks like Stafford is getting surgery on his thumb, so he will not be playing. Brett Rippon was terrible against Dallas, replacing him. I actually think they're going to sign Carson Wentz to play for them. But, Packers' offense has not been good. Neither has the Rams' defense. Rams' defense has given up 23-plus points in its last 5 games. Packers have covered the last 9 against Rams. I think the Packers bounce back at home. I'll take the minus, 3?
I think it's 3, but I'm guessing that's going to be moving if Stafford is
out. 3 is probably the highest I'd go.
Cool. Reichel, how about you?
Can I pass? I don't know. Rams first half maybe, because the Packers are one of the worst first half teams in the league, but I guess I'm leaning Green Bay. Rippon, we know, isn't any good. I think he had his best game of his career against the Jets on Thursday Night Football like 5 years ago, but he's not any good. I think when you're looking at that's right, because that was your team. But I think when you're looking at the matchup here, Green Bay's not good, but they're at home. That might mean something. I don't know. You have a dome team from the West Coast traveling and playing cold Lambeau Field. That usually doesn't go well for these teams. I'm hoping at some point Green Bay realizes they need to run the damn ball with Aaron Jones. Maybe that'll help out, but I'm going to lean to Green Bay. It sucks. The game sucks. These teams suck. I'll lean to Green Bay because I think the Rams are really bad, and I thought they should have traded a lot of pieces. Yeah. I'm surprised Aaron Donald's still there. Maybe he has a stipulation in his contract. If he's traded, he's going to retire because I don't know why he's still there. But the team's not good. Green Bay, at least they have a young quarterback that's playing for his future. He's got something to play for. Rippon's just there to, I don't even know what he's there for, but for the paycheck maybe. But I'll go with the Packers. I like the under. I think both these offenses are bad, but I guess Green Bay at home is the lesser of two evils option here. Give me the Packers.
Chris?
Yeah, it's a damning thing when the Rams wanted to sign John Wolford off Tampa Bay's practice squad, and he said, "No thanks, I'm good staying here." You're looking at the fact that the Rams aren't good. Green Bay has been awful. Haven't scored a first half touchdown in the last 5 weeks. They've screwed up a couple of parlays for me in the last couple of weeks because they could beat teams they should have beaten.
You put them in a couple of weeks in a row. That's kind of your fault, but. Just saying.
Well, I figured they would have beaten Minnesota playing at home.
I give you props for putting money on the Packers. That takes guts.
Well, somebody's got to do it. But let's face it, Green Bay not very good. I'm not going to back them here. I just can't. After watching how poorly they played, they couldn't punch the ball into the end zone, even after they strip sacked Hall late in that game to try and make it a one-possession game. Couldn't score. They don't move the ball for beans, and like you said, they don't run the ball, which makes no sense considering they have 2 decent running backs. The Packers have run for more than 100 yards twice this season. And one of those came against Denver, so it doesn't count. I'm going to take the Rams. I don't care if they might just turn around and hand the ball off 50 times to Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. But my main pick is I'm going to take the under, but if I had to lean aside, I'll take the Rams and the points.
Steehn?
Oh yeah, I'd like to pass on this one too. I'd like to use my pass chit on this one. You know what? Give me the home team here. I think this is going to be a really tight matchup. I think the difference is going to be the Green Bay crowd and the quarterback situation for the Rams. I think ultimately jumps up and bites them one too many times. Green Bay minus the 3 in an ugly affair.
Yep, I agree with you guys.
The Green Bay crowd might boo the Packers as much as they're going to yell for the Rams.
That's the motivation they need,
Yeah, seriously.
It's tough love in the Midwest, man.
That is a good point. It'll definitely be it. I agree with you guys where this game is just I won't be turning it on. But for that reason, when I usually don't want to watch it, it's because there's not going to be a lot of offense in the game. So I'm going to take the under here as well at 39.5. Don't like Rippon at quarterback for the Rams. He's struggled as a backup for the Broncos his whole career. Don't see him stepping into the spotlight here in Lambeau. And like you guys said, the Packers offense, they've continued to show struggles, and they're not running the ball, which is really hurting them. I think they're going to continue to keep that trend going. They're going to trust Love, which I don't think they should do. And both teams are going to struggle on offense. So I'm going to ride with the under 39.5 points there.
Watch out for Carson Wentz, I'm telling you.
Well, he wouldn't
He
be
won't
playing
this week
if they
though, I
sign him
don't
anyway.
think, even if they did sign him.
I don't know. Mayfield played pretty quick when he got
that is
signed.
true. If they sign Wentz, I'll rethink the under immediately.
You should know the offense. He played similar ones. But go
I
on.
agree.
Sorry.
And Rippon's not great, but at least he's got a couple of receivers to throw to. Love has got nothing.
Watson.
Yeah, but he's been neutralized all season long too when he wasn't hurt. I mean, look at Metellus ripped that ball away from him the other day.
I think Reed's okay. He's not great, but he's okay.
Yeah. Well, some teams with I wouldn't say any spectacular weapons either. I'd definitely say the Texans have some. Maybe the Bucs have some as well, actually. What am I saying? We're going to look at this one between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans. The Texans are a 2.5-point favorite, and this total set at 40. Rye, who you like in this one?
Yeah, Bucs have plenty of weapons.
Yeah, they do. I said that and immediately regretted it.
Yeah, so these teams don't have much history. Tampa Bay is coming off the long week. I like the under here. The under is a combined 11-3 between these teams this season. Both teams struggle in the red zone. Tampa Bay defense should be able to keep Stroud in check. I think the Texans have trouble running the ball. Bucs have trouble running the ball. Bucs have averaged only 12.3 points per game. They've yet to score 20 points in a loss this season. Texans commit a lot of penalties. This should be an ugly, low-scoring game. I like the under here.
Reichel?
I'm going to agree with the under, but I am going to lean to the Buccaneers in this spot. You lost to Carolina? Really? Carolina? You couldn't score 20 against Carolina? All right. I think the Texans are the better coach team because I'm very anti-Bulls, but I do like the fact that the Buccaneers played on Thursday. They have a long week, which I do appreciate. This is also the random game in the calendar year that Baker will play decently, and people have to restart the cycle of, is Baker actually underrated? He's not. He's not very good. But it's the type of game that he would have a decent showing in, where he throws for like 2 touchdowns and 250 yards. And you go, Baker Mayfield, some team should have traded for him. What's the story there? And then he's just bad the rest of the year. But I think Baker steps up in this game. I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to get the job done. Both teams are pretty even. I just don't think the Houston Texans should be favored by 2.5 after losing outright to Carolina. At least Tampa can score on occasion. I'll go with Tampa. It's an ugly game. I'll lean to the under. But do I think that there's value with whoever's getting points in this matchup? Probably. I'll take Tampa.
Chris?
Yeah, it's going to be a close game, I think. You look, both these teams give up 18.3 points a game. That puts them tied for 6th in the league in scoring defense. And they get by with turnovers. You look, Tampa Bay's forced 14 turnovers. They've only turned it over 6 times. Houston's only turned the ball over 4 times this year, while taking it away 9. So you got to give Stroud credit. He doesn't beat himself. He's only got 1 interception this year in 9 billion attempts because Houston's always playing from behind. Tampa Bay can't run the ball. I mean, they only ran it for 78 yards last week, and I've seen how bad Buffalo's run defense has been at times this season. You can't run the ball against them, you're in trouble. First team to 17 wins this game. I'm taking the under.
Steehn?
Yeah, I'm on the under here too. I just don't think I'm not sure the Texans should be 2.5-point favorites over anybody. And this is a Texans team that's kind of hard-headed. They like to run the football. They're 13th in the league in rushing attempts. However, they're 23rd in yards. It's like somebody's mom told them that they were really good at it, so they keep doing it. It's like you see those people on American Idol that can't sing. Like, who told you you could do that? Somebody at some point in your life said you were good, and they lied, and now they tortured America. And that's what's happened with this Houston team. They're like, Pierce, he's a top-notch runner. They're like, okay, well, we'll run him every play. Now, guess what? He was an 8-game fucking flash in the pan. I don't know how this Houston team's going to move the ball. They're going to make Stroud throw to beat him. And spoiler alert, he ain't going to do it. I'd lean Tampa Bay, but my play's going to be the under 40 here.
Well, Tampa Bay's pass defense isn't all that great either. They give up a lot of yards on the outside.
Yeah, not to CJ Stroud, they don't.
Well, Texans also can't block. I mean, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah,
Stroud's very
that's
good
a
at
valid
avoiding
point.
sacks because he just gets the ball away very quickly. But they can't block anybody. So that's
So they have a
the issue
line
that
that
you're
can't
running
run block or pass block. Other than that, they're
Yep.
in great shape.
Exactly. Yep. Nope. You're dead on. You actually took my note right off the page, Steehn. They can't block and they can't run the ball or run block. So it doesn't matter how they're moving the ball because they really haven't been able to do it. And like Reichel said as well, they lost to the Panthers last week. That's pretty much all I needed to see.
For 13 points.
Yeah, they couldn't move the ball, and it honestly blew my mind. I was bought into Stroud earlier in the year. I thought he was slinging it, but I don't like it in this spot. I think this Buccaneers defense can load the box, put some pressure on him, make him actually make a mistake, and I think that's really going to hurt the Texans in this game. And this Buccaneers team, like I said in the intro, they don't have any weapons. Well, that was dumb to say because they have a lot of weapons. Mike Evans has looked really good, and so is White. I think they're both going to look really good in this game again. And Tampa Bay, they're going to end up winning a gross game against the Texans. I'm going to take the Bucs money line in this one.
Fun fact, you always think about how good that Tampa Bay rush defense is. Houston's actually better statistically as far as yards per attempt. Tampa Bay gives up 3.9. Houston gives up 3.6 yards per carry. So this is going to be two bad quarterbacks. Whoever is the least worst, whichever one of the barefoot people could put on one shoe is going to be the team to win this one. It's going to be some ugly quarterback play, and it's going to be featured, so that'll be great.
Doesn't it just feel like that random game out of the year where Baker actually looks tolerable? And people go, some teams should have traded for him. And it's like, they really shouldn't have.
He had that in week 2 against the Bears when he threw.
I'm saying it's been a while. It's been like 2 months since that's happened. He's kind of due for another pretty decent showing.
But Tampa Bay is not going to run the ball. I mean, they don't even try half the time.
Yeah,
at least they realize they can't run the ball. Houston's still running it for nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're both very similar as far as yards per attempt, but one of them runs the ball about 10 more times a game. So, yeah, two quarterbacks that need to have the pressure taken off of them, and neither one will.
Yep. I definitely lean under as well. I agree with you guys there.
Well, and another thing to help the under, these teams have both been teams that live off turnovers.
Yep.
So you get one of those red zone turnovers, and you take 6-7 minutes off the clock and come up dry. That helps you. You're under immensely.
Absolutely. Our next game, a little bit interesting as one of these teams have been shipping off their players left and right today. The Commanders will be traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. The Patriots are a 3-point favorite, and this total is also set at 40. Rye, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, so Commanders were shipping off people. Patriots probably should have too. But yeah, both of these teams stink. Patriots are probably the worst team in the AFC. At times, Washington looks like the worst team in the NFC. Kendrick Bourne is out for the season. That doesn't help, just bad offense. Patriots defense isn't good either. This isn't the Belichick defense we're used to seeing. I guess Washington offense looked good against Philly. They outgained them by almost 100 yards. How at his best game statistically, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Washington is giving up 30 points per game in their last 6. But Patriots offense isn't good enough to take advantage of it. I'll reluctantly take the Redskins to win. Or Commanders.
Football
Sure.
team. Something. It's fine.
One of their
That team from Washington.
Reichel, who do you like in this one?
I mean, the fact that the Commanders are blowing up the roster, I kind of commend in a way because at least they realize that they're not playing for anything. Having said that, I still don't know why Ron Rivera's there. And his explanation for not challenging that ball that should have been that 4th down turnover on downs was comical because the entire team's yelling at him to challenge it. And he's going, well, I was waiting for the jumbo. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What was his explanation? I never heard his explanation. What was it?
He said he was waiting for the Jumbotron to show the replay. And by the time he was ready to do, next play.
Yep.
Like, don't you have people in the booth that are doing telling you to challenge stuff? The point is Rivera's a bad coach. I don't know why he's still there, but I think Sam Howell's good. At least he's had moments where he's been solid. McLaurin's been okay, but Dotson had a good week last week. They don't run the ball, I don't know what happened. Like, Robinson was good for the first couple weeks, and they just decided to never run the ball again. But I guess the question that I have is that the Patriots are at home. They did win their last home game against the Bills, so at least they won something there. But are they a good team? No, not really. But I guess I'm going to lean to New England because at home, and it's going to be Howell's first time facing off against Belichick. We know how that usually works out the first time you see this defense. But as Rice said before, the Patriots defense isn't as good as it has been in previous years. I think New England finds a way. At the end of the day, I just think that Ron Rivera is actively losing games for his team as a coach, while Belichick is still, I guess, trying to win games. I think the team's just not very talented. I'm going to lean to New England. I'm not going to bet this, but I am going to think. I think New England and Foxborough finds ways to win these weird games. I'll go with New England. I'll lean to the under, but I'll lean to New England.
Chris?
I'm actually going to go with Washington here. You're looking, like Scott said, Howell looked good last week. Philadelphia only sacked him once. Granted, it came at a crucial point in the game. But they, as bad as Washington has been this season, they hung tough with the Eagles twice. Lost in overtime the first time around. Lost by 7 this time around. Sure, they've put up some duds. But we're talking about a New England team that doesn't have Matt Judon. They probably won't have Uche again because he's still dealing with an injury. Christian Gonzalez is their best corner, who is a rookie, and he's hurt. New England just doesn't play well defensively. They've given up at least 300 yards of offense in each of their last 5 games. Miami got them for 390 last week. I can't trust New England's offense to do anything. I'll take Washington in the points here. I think that Howell will find a way to make New England look bad on the road.
I have to ask you, though, since part of my handicap was based on what happened when your team played them, what happened when the Bills played the Patriots? How did you lose that game?
They started slow. I mean, they gave up a field goal on the first drive, and the first pass was intercepted. They put them in a 10-0 hole, and that's what slowed them. That's what did it. But, I mean, I also look at, the first play on the drive when New England scored the winning touchdown, they had a flag for an ineligible man downfield and then picked it up after talking for 5 minutes. But they just didn't make stops when they needed to. And I don't see New England, doing that in a game that really means nothing to them, being in an interconference matchup as opposed to a divisional one, because if you look, that's their only home win in 4 games this season.
Well, they also played the Eagles and the Dolphins, to be fair.
They also played the Saints.
Those are 3. I mean, the Saints aren't very good, but they're okay compared to the rest of the league.
They had 156 yards of offense against the Saints.
Oh, I know. They lost. They got shut out. Like, it was an embarrassing showing. But I'm saying that they've been okay against the bottom feeders, kind of. Maybe a little. I don't know.
The Jets?
Yeah, Jets. Yeah,
they lost to the Raiders.
Yeah, that was a road game, so it doesn't count. I'm just talking about Foxborough. Once again, there's not much to like about these teams, but I find it weird New England's laying 3.
Yeah, I agree. Steehn, who you liking in this one between the Commanders and Patriots?
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots. I think this Washington defense is going to struggle without their 2 best players. I think that's going to have a bit of an impact, perhaps. And that coupled with the fact that Belichick's still going against a rookie quarterback. I don't really know what Scott sees in Sam Howell. I'm not really seeing.
I didn't say he's great, but out of the young quarterbacks in the league, I think he's been okay comparatively
he's
speaking.
decent. I think he's decent too.
Well, I mean, what's your bar? I think Stroud's been
400
better.
yards last week.
What's that?
He threw for 400 yards last week. That's a pretty decent bar.
Well, one game.
He was good against the Eagles the first time they played. They arguably should have won the game if McLaurin was
had
holding them out.
one good game, so sure.
I'm saying basically 2 against the same team, but.
So yeah, he did well against the Bears too. So I guess that's important.
Yeah, that counts.
I just don't see how he doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. If he gets enough time,
it's hard to look comfortable in the pocket when you're getting killed 2 steps after you step back after taking the snap.
I think they have the highest QB sack allowed percentage in the league. Yep. Like, they can't block anybody. Once again, I'm not saying Howell's good, but for a rookie, basically who played 1 game last year, there are a lot worse quarterbacks out there. That's what I'm saying. I think he's fine.
And he's been sacked, 40 sometimes?
Yeah. It's not David
41.
Carr levels, but it's close. Like, he's getting buried.
Yeah, 11.7% sack percentage. So when you get sacked 1 out of every 9 dropbacks, it's kind of tough to look comfortable back there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just don't think I just don't share the Howell love. I think he looks like a rookie, and I think he's going to struggle this week against that New England defense. Even though they're still definitely not the New England defense of past, but I think they can step up against bad teams and still get it done. And this Washington team is bad, and I think if anything will help Mac Jones, it's going to be not facing that intense pass rush there between Sweat and Chase Young. Yeah, give me Goody at home.
Just to be clear, even though I did praise Sam Howell, I did pick the Patriots. Just to be clear.
And I this is a game as I will not be betting in real life. I will say
Neither will I.
I was going to clarify the same thing because I will
I
not
won't
be
be
betting
betting it. I won't
either.
be watching it. I won't be reading about it. Yeah.
Nothing that happens here will gain his interest. But yeah, the Patriots, they're at home, which I like. The Commanders shipping off their two best players on the defensive line today really makes me think they're going in the other direction. I also think that might open up the door for the Patriots to slightly run the ball a little bit more. I know that's been non-existent all year, but if they're going to help out Mac Jones, I think they have to get a little bit of a running game going. They'll have a chance this week against the Commanders. And it just blows my mind to say this, but Mac Jones, I thought he looked good against the Bills at home, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again in this game. So I'm going to take the Patriots -3 and trust Belichick against another young quarterback. And then our final game of the early slate this Sunday, we're going to be looking at the Chicago Bears traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are 7.5-point favorites, and this total set at 41. Rye, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, so the Bears are coming off a short week after looking extremely unimpressive at the Chargers. Now they travel to New Orleans. Saints rushing game is starting to look good. Alvin Kamara gained 110 total yards, found the end zone twice. I'm not a big Derek Carr fan, but he did go for 310 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Chargers defense is not the Saints defense. Bears could only score 13 versus LA. Bagan threw 2 interceptions. So if he plays, I think he's going to have trouble against this defense. I think Fields same way. So yeah, I think the Saints dominate here. I'm taking the Saints.
Michelle?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints. It's another situation of bad coaching. I think Dennis Allen's abysmal, but this team's actually decent compared to the rest of the league. If you're ranking all 32 teams, the Saints are probably somewhere in the mid-teens. They're average. The Bears are bottom 3. Like, this team's terrible. Now, they did trade for Sweat. Why? I have no idea. Enjoy trading a second-round pick when your team's going to be terrible again. I don't really get the point, but still, the Saints at least have looked competent recently, or maybe last week because they were able to run the ball. Taysom Hill looked pretty good. He had a couple touchdowns as well. It's going to be in New Orleans, which is always tough to play for the road team, but Badgen's not good. They had one good game against the Raiders, and the Raiders are also really, really bad. So that doesn't mean anything to me. Badgen was awful against the Chargers. They got buried. I don't think Eberflus can coach either, but it's mostly just going down the actual rosters. The Saints have a better roster, and it's not even close. And I feel like the one thing holding the Saints back right now is coaching and Derek Carr, who occasionally plays terribly. But he was okay last week. I'll take the Saints, and they win this game comfortably. This might be the blowout of the week if you're looking for an alternative spread, a favorite to win by 2 touchdowns. The Bears are just awful. I'm going to go with the Saints to get the job done by 14+. Give me the 7.5.
King?
Yeah, I think you've got to think New Orleans wins this game by double digits. The good news for the Bears, they stop teams from running the ball. They give up just 3.3 yards a carry, which leads the league. They're third in allowing only 630 rushing yards. The bad news is the Saints don't care because they don't run the ball that much anyway. They'd rather go over the top and throw with Carr and go to Rashid Shaheed and Olave and Michael Thomas. And, occasionally you'll throw the ball to Kamara 13 times for 30 yards. Let's face it, the Saints have more weapons offensively. The Bears, they didn't trade Jalen Johnson, mainly because nobody was going to meet the price tag they had for him. Sure, they brought in Sweat. That's not going to make a big difference. And like Scott said, Badgett hasn't been great. Fields was starting to look like a semi-competent quarterback before he got hurt. So they're basically wasting DJ Moore this season. I'll take the Saints. They'll win by at least 10, probably 14, 17 points.
Steen?
That's a big surprise. The guy coming from Hillbilly College has not turned out to be the fresh find there in the NFL. Scott, I think you're a little bit of the master of the understatement. Said Derek Carr looked fine last week. He threw for 350 yards, 12.1 yards per attempt. I think that's a little better than fine.
I was being modest. He's had so many ups and down games that he kind of just meets in the middle at this point.
Interesting thing about this Saints team and running the football is they've actually become better since they lost their fullback, which you would not expect out of a running team. But since they've lost their fullback, they went for 136, 89, 112, and 161. This is a team that put up 500-plus yards against the Colts, who had been a average defense before. I don't think they were certainly not in the bottom tier.
They gave up 39 to P.J. Walker, but yeah, sure. I mean,
so we call them inconsistent then?
That works. Yeah, I can work with that.
I like that.
That's fine.
But I hate laying 7.5 with the Saints. I think you have to do it. I just don't think this Bears team is good, and I think they're really, really not good on the road, with the exception of the game against New Orleans. There, they have ridden the struggle bus on the road, losing by 10, 31, and last week against the Chargers, losing by 17. So they're no stranger to double-digit losses, especially against competent teams. I'm not going to call this New Orleans team good. Are they the best team in the NFC South? Maybe. We'll see.
They have the best quarterback in the NFC South.
They did not trade. I think they have the two best quarterbacks in the NFC South.
that's probably true.
Okay. That's a good point.
And they did not trade famous Jameis at the deadline. As we do this show, the deadline just passed.
So really, you can say they have the best three quarterbacks in the NFC.
I was thinking about saying that. I'm like, I don't know. But I mean, if you gave me Taysom Hill or Desmond Ridder right now, I don't know how you take Desmond Ridder. I really don't. It's one of the mysteries of the universe. There's two big mysteries in the universe. How is Kelsey open all the time? And how is no one able to stop Taysom Hill on the quarterback run from inside the 10-yard line? I don't understand either one of those things. I guess I just don't know enough about football. But I do know that the Saints are much better than the Bears. I know that much. Give me the Saints minus 7.5.
Yep. To round out this early slate, I'll be taking the Saints minus 7.5 as well, as I simply just don't trust this Bears offense. Badgett, not very good. I was honestly chuckling this last week, getting ready for this last game against the Chargers, as everyone in Chicago was saying they found their man for the 400th time in the last 10 years. So interesting to see that he struggled. I think that trend's going to continue against this Saints defense. They're holding their opponents to 202 passing yards per game, so definitely won't be using his arm much, and I think they're going to load the box and stop the run as well. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, I think the Saints are moving the ball a little bit more efficiently now that Alvin Kamara is back. Derek Carr, he's throwing a lot of little dump down passes to Kamara, helping him pick up some little yardages, make third down a little more convertible. And I think that their weapons on the outside are good enough to beat this Bears secondary. So I'm going to take the Saints minus 7.5. And like Reichel said, I wouldn't be afraid to alternate spread that one up to 9.5 or 13.5 as well. So that wraps up our morning slate for the Week 9 games.
I do want to say this in honor of Matthew Perry's passing. I will just say this about the Bears: could Chicago be any worse at taking quarterbacks? Thank you. It's my Chandler Bing impression right there.
We did have to give Chandler. I like that shout out, Scott. We needed that. A little RIP to Chandler Bing for us on the show. Shout out to friends, thank goodness. But that does wrap up this week's slate. If you guys are looking to bet on the afternoon games or the Sunday night or Monday night games, all of these cappers have some amazing premium pick packages available every weekend. I wanted to give each and every one of them a chance to let you guys know where you can find them. Rye, why don't you start us out?
Yep, you can find me at Reichel on all social media. I'm actually starting to heat up in NFL after a brutal start. But yeah, check me out on winnersandwhiners.com. I'm dropping plays all over the place.
Perfect. Reichel, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. I got the daily YouTube picks as well at Winners and Whiners. Bunch of podcasts. All those are linked to my Twitter. All my picks are free. So if you want some free content, I got you covered.
Oh, way to throw that in there.
Well, I mean, Mason said all these handicappers have premium picks. I don't, so I just want to be clear.
Very good point. King, how about you? Where can we find you on the website?
Always find me on winnersandwhiners.com, covering everything under the sun except for Korean baseball, which I think
College
is over
basketball
now.
though, week away. You excited?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm already been looking through that. You excited about it?
Yeah. Why not?
That's the kind of enthusiasm you need, folks. You can catch me on Twitter at Betting Royalty, and on weekends just parlays with myself because it's me, and we haven't hired a co-host.
Perfect.
Don't tempt me to crash it. I'll crash it if you want me to.
You're never up that early.
You're not getting up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. There's no way.
8? Oh.
No,
yeah,
it's 9.
Pass.
It's 9, but you're still not up that early.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Steamroller, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Steamroller. Also have premium picks for sale over at Whiners and Whiners. Reichel said he's the only guy that doesn't sell his picks. And I would counter with you get what you pay for. So if you're looking for some quality picks, make sure you check out Rye, Mason, Chris, and myself over there at Whiners and Whiners. If you're looking for free content, something to fill up your time, check out Reichel's videos. Very nice.
I'll keep you entertained. So there you go.
I do have a question. What does rye cake mean?
You're asking this now? He's been on the show for like a year and a half.
Right?
I know.
I used to be a gamer. That was my gamer tag. It stuck with me. Everybody calls me it. Literally, the only people call me Tom are my family. So I'm Rye Cake. I don't know what it means.
Is it something within the game? Was it game relative to the game you were playing?
No, it was just a random generator.
I was going to assume they assigned it to you, and you're just like, all right, this is who I am now.
Yeah, that's right.
So he got Post Malone, and you got Rye Cake.
Exactly.
Very nice. All right.
That is incredible. And you guys can find all my premium picks on the Winners and Whiners website, like Scott just said. I'm also on all of our social media accounts, the TikTok, the Discord, our new improved Twitter page. Head down in the description. Make sure to give us a follow there. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can come back and catch more free pick videos as we're cranking out free picks left and right every day. We also have this show premiering every Thursday before the Thursday night game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and you can come back and catch a few more picks. So thank you guys so much for coming and checking out this video. I hope you have a fantastic week 9 in the NFL and good luck with all of your picks.